You don't just see the world as it is, you see it through the lens of your own perspective. And sometimes that lens can be more limiting than any external challenge you could face. Have you ever thought, "I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this," or "I will fail"? These thoughts don't define who you truly are. They're just stories you've been telling yourself, shaped by past experiences, societal expectations, and your inner fears. Stoicism teaches us something profound, that the world doesn't need to change for you to find happiness. All you need to do is shift how you perceive yourself. And when you do that, everything around you will begin to transform. The way you perceive challenges, failures, and even successes will shift from seeing them as burdens to seeing them as opportunities for growth. This shift in perspective is where real transformation begins. In this video, I'll share powerful lessons and personal experiences that I've gained from the philosophy of Stoicism. Don't just watch passively, engage and reflect. Every part of this video could be the missing piece that helps you see yourself and your life from a whole new perspective. So don't miss a moment, because even the smallest shift in your mindset today can spark a monumental change in your future. First, turn dreams into reality. Imagine standing before a breathtaking painting where every dream you've ever had has come true. You see yourself successful, joyful, and filled with inspiration. The world has aligned with your dreams and you feel unstoppable. But then you blink and that vision fades, replaced by the harsh reality of struggle, doubts, and fears. So, what happened? Why can't that vision become your life? The answer is simpler than you think. It's the way you perceive yourself that's holding you back. Your self-image, the internal story you tell yourself, is the lens through which you see your potential. Stoic philosophy isn't some impractical theory. It's a guiding light that helps you face life with clarity and courage. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." When you define who you want to be and take action toward that goal, your perception shifts. You stop seeing obstacles as insurmountable and begin to view them as stepping stones. This is the key. Don't wait for life to change or become perfect. Perfection is an illusion. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult." The hardest part is often starting, but once you take that first step, the rest becomes easier. Remember, dreams aren't achieved through luck or divine intervention. They are built through action, perseverance, and the courage to face failure head-on. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, failed over 1,000 times. But he didn't see those failures as defeat. He saw them as necessary steps on the road to success. "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000,000 ways that won't work." That's the essence of Stoicism, turning failure into a stepping stone for greater achievements. It's about not allowing setbacks to define you, but using them as tools to get closer to your goals. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of Rome, left us a powerful reminder. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control the external world, but you have absolute control over how you perceive and respond to its difficulties. It's this self-mastery that will help you persist when challenges arise. 2. Transform pain into power. Pain is an undeniable truth of life. It doesn't matter how wealthy, successful, or powerful you become. No one can escape loss, failure, or heartache. The pain might come in the form of heartbreak, personal loss, or failure to achieve what you've worked for. But the real question isn't why we suffer, it's how we respond to that suffering. Some people are knocked down by pain and never rise again. But others, from the depths of seemingly unbearable suffering, find a strength they never knew they had. The secret to this resilience? Stoic philosophy teaches us that pain is not the enemy. It's an opportunity to forge yourself into something stronger. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The Stoics viewed suffering as an inevitable part of life, but rather than letting it destroy them, they used it as fuel to grow. They saw adversity as a challenge to overcome, and by doing so, they transformed themselves and their situation. Think of Ludwig van Beethoven. When he lost his hearing, many believed it was the end of his music career. Yet, in the silence that followed, Beethoven composed timeless masterpieces, including his Ninth Symphony. His pain was immense, yet he refused to let it define him. Instead, he used it as a driving force, creating music that continues to inspire people to this day. Beethoven famously declared, "I will seize fate by the throat. It shall certainly never wholly overcome me." You don't need to be Beethoven to find strength in your pain. Start with small steps. When faced with challenges, pause and ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? By focusing on what is within your power, you can begin to regain control over your emotions and actions. Remember, the key to transforming pain into power lies not in avoiding it, but in embracing it and using it as an opportunity for growth. Pain doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger, if you allow it. 3. Focus on what truly matters. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded by distractions, social media, news, and the endless expectations from those around us. We live in a world that pushes us to constantly do more, achieve more, and be more. But in those quiet moments, when everything else fades away, do you ever stop and ask yourself, am I really dedicating my time and energy to what truly matters? Or are you merely living out a script written by society, your family, or even your fears? Over 2,000 years ago, Stoicism revealed an unchanging truth. Happiness and peace don't come from controlling the outside world. They come from mastering how we perceive and respond to it. When you realize that true strength lies in your ability to govern your own mind, you stop being swept away by trivialities. You begin to focus on your core values, the things that truly deserve your time and effort. Take Albert Einstein, for example. Despite being one of the greatest scientists in history, Einstein didn't get caught up in the glitz and glamour of fame. Instead, he focused on the things that mattered most: the pursuit of knowledge, the betterment of humanity, and the joy of discovery. He once said, "Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value." His success wasn't defined by external recognition, it was defined by the impact he made on the world. To focus on what truly matters, first, separate what you can control from what you can't. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we can't control other people, the weather, or life's unpredictability, but we can control our attitude, thoughts, and actions. Second, practice gratitude. In a world that constantly urges you to have more, Stoicism reminds us that true happiness comes from appreciating what we already have. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." True wealth is not about accumulating more, it's about being content with what you have. When you focus on what truly matters, you'll begin to see your life from a new perspective. You'll stop chasing external validation and start pursuing inner peace and fulfillment. Achieve balance and true success. Have you ever wondered why some people, despite having everything, fame, wealth, and power, still feel empty inside? Why do those who possess everything we dream of still struggle to find peace? The answer lies in balance. True success isn't about external accomplishments, it's about finding harmony within yourself. Imagine life as a boat drifting on the open sea. The winds may be fierce and the waves may rise high, but the boat doesn't capsize because it is balanced. Success in life is not about controlling external forces, but about maintaining your inner balance. Stoic philosophy teaches that success isn't about the outcomes, it's about the process of growth and self-mastery. True success is about finding peace in the midst of chaos. It's about living aligned with your core values, not chasing after fleeting external achievements. As Haruki Murakami, the Japanese author, once said, "I don't write for recognition or awards. I write because it helps me maintain my balance." Murakami didn't chase fame. He found success by staying true to himself. Break free from limiting beliefs. Have you ever asked yourself, why can't I seem to move forward? The answer isn't out there in the world, it's within your mind. Limiting beliefs such as, "I'm not good enough," "I can't do this," or "I'll fail," are like invisible chains holding you back from your full potential. Stoic philosophy teaches that what holds us back is not external circumstances, but how we perceive them. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems, said Epictetus. These fears and limiting beliefs often exist only in your imagination. And if they were created by your thoughts, they can also be dismantled by them. 6. Master discipline and perseverance. In the journey of self-discovery and personal transformation, many people believe that motivation is the key to success. Motivation is important, it's the spark that gets you started. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that true success is built on discipline and perseverance. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is enduring. Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom comes from self-mastery, and discipline is the tool that leads you there. Imagine waking up on a cold, rainy morning when your alarm goes off, and all you want to do is stay in bed. You ask yourself, "Can I skip my workout today? Who's going to care anyway?" That's when discipline speaks up. Discipline doesn't rely on feelings or circumstances. It's the ability to stick to your commitments even when you don't feel like it. It's about pushing through the discomfort, the laziness, the temptation to quit. Marcus Aurelius captured this sentiment perfectly in Meditations when he wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being.'" The key to success is not in achieving immediate gratification, but in doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. This is where discipline and perseverance come in. Look at Angela Duckworth, the psychologist who popularized the concept of grit. She studied cadets at the US Military Academy at West Point and found that the most successful cadets weren't necessarily the ones with the highest test scores or physical strength, but the ones who never gave up, no matter how tough the road was. Perseverance is about the long haul, not quick success. Small, consistent actions add up over time. If you want to get in better shape, don't aim to run a marathon immediately. Start by running a small distance every day and slowly build your strength and endurance. Each small step, no matter how insignificant it seems at the time, is an investment in your future success. David Goggins, a former Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner, is an embodiment of perseverance. His childhood was filled with violence and hardship, yet he didn't let those experiences define him. Instead, he chose to confront them bit by bit, day by day, and ultimately became one of the toughest men on the planet. His message? Motivation is crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed. Motivation alone is not enough. It's discipline and perseverance that will carry you through life's toughest challenges. 7. Adopt a winning mindset. The only thing you truly have control over is how you see yourself. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to chase after things beyond our reach or to hope that fate will favor us. Instead, it teaches us that true strength lies within, in how you define yourself. A winning mindset isn't a privilege reserved for the lucky few. It's the result of mental discipline and a clear understanding of who you are and what you value. Ask yourself, what does true victory mean to me? Is it wealth, fame, or the applause of others? Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. True richness is not about how much you own, but about how little you need to feel complete. The Stoic winning mindset isn't about defeating others, it's about conquering yourself, overcoming your fears, doubts, and limitations. A powerful example of this mindset is Bethany Hamilton, the American surfer who lost her arm in a shark attack. For most, this would be the end of their career, but Bethany refused to let tragedy define her. Within months of the attack, she was back on her board, competing professionally. She famously said, "I don't need easy, I just need possible." Her mindset was unbreakable, and this determination allowed her to not just survive, but thrive. You don't need life to be easy, you just need to be strong enough to rise above it. Adopting a winning mindset isn't about avoiding challenges, but embracing them as opportunities to prove your resilience. Remember, no one in this world has achieved success without stumbling along the way. But those with a winning mindset don't let failure define them. They learn from their mistakes and keep moving forward. To build a winning mindset in your own life, first, practice inner control. Recognize that while you can't control everything that happens, you can control how you respond. Second, embrace failure as a natural part of the journey. No one becomes successful without encountering setbacks. What matters is how you rise from them. Lastly, appreciate the journey itself. The process of personal growth, learning, and overcoming challenges is where the real victories lie. Every time you face a fear, every time you rise after a fall, that's a victory in itself. So ask yourself, do I see myself as a winner, even when life isn't perfect? True victory lies not in external achievements, but in your ability to rise, no matter the odds. 8. Conquer yourself. Conquer the world. The greatest victory is not defeating others, but mastering yourself. Confucius once said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." In a world filled with chaos, ambition, and the constant rush for recognition, true conquest doesn't begin outwardly or why. It begins within. We often mistake success for power, wealth, or recognition, but the greatest triumph is mastering your own mind and emotions. Stoic philosophy teaches that we can't control the external world, but we can control our internal world. Life may throw unexpected challenges your way, but how you respond to those challenges is what truly matters. It's not about avoiding difficulties, but about learning how to navigate them with strength and poise. Ask yourself, have I ever been so overwhelmed by emotion that I lost my sense of reason? Have you ever let fear, anger, or disappointment hold you back from moving forward? These moments reveal that we haven't fully mastered ourselves yet. Stoicism doesn't require emotional numbness or detachment from the world. It teaches us that we can feel deeply, but our actions should never be ruled by those emotions. Mastery over oneself requires constant self-reflection and self-discipline. It's about confronting your fears and doubts, acknowledging them without letting them control you. It's about looking at failure not through the lens of self-pity, but with a mindset eager to learn and grow. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen yourself, to become more resilient, and to grow into a better version of yourself. Stoicism teaches that true strength doesn't come from avoiding difficult emotions, but from mastering them. Life will always throw challenges your way, but how you respond is what truly matters. When you master yourself, no external circumstance can defeat you. No failure can bring you down, because when you conquer yourself, you gain the freedom to change the world. Conclusion. We've explored 8 powerful Stoic lessons that can transform the way you perceive yourself and the world. But the most important thing isn't just understanding these lessons, it's taking action. Every great mindset shift begins with small changes. Each thought, each decision, each moment where you choose to take control of yourself instead of being ruled by your emotions or circumstances brings you closer to your true potential. Remember, you are not defined by what happens to you, you are defined by how you respond to it. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button to let me know these insights resonate with you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which principle impacted you the most? Or share your own story so we can learn from each other. And don't forget to share this video with someone who might need a little inspiration, because sometimes just one sentence can change a day or even a life. Lastly, hit that subscribe button because there's so much more valuable content coming your way. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.